Hello, Howard Owens, publisher of the Batavian here. We're going to be talking about dog training today with Tori from Calling All Dogs. And it's where we take our dogs. She's been great with both Rocky and most recently Nellie Bly. Since we got Nellie Bly, we've been working with her. So, Tori, welcome. Glad to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Great. So, Tori, so first of all, tell us a little bit about your approach to training dogs, and kind of a little bit of your background.
Yeah. So I am a certified dog behavior consultant. So it's an international certification where we use the least intrusive method. So positive reinforcement with yummy rewards, play, and things like that. So there are any kind of corrections, no prong, choke, or shock collars.
And it's a behavioral based type of approach
Yeah.
where you're just reinforcing the behavior you want at the and using positive behavior to correct for negative behavior, right?
Right. And it's also helping the dogs to feel better about things that upset them, like dogs that are reactive to people and other dogs or animals is helping change those emotions around for a positive result.
So the one of the reasons we wanted to talk today is just people have been home for a long time with their animals now. Uh,
Mhm.
Lifestyle patterns have changed for the pets as well as the people, and that can be stressful on them. So we want to just talk about some of the issues that owners might be having and kind of what you're hearing from some of your clients. What's kind of like the biggest issue going on right now for dogs and their owners?
The first one is owners are really realizing that their dogs have some kind of separation anxiety because they've been home so much. So they don't want to really be alone. They want to follow their owners everywhere, and they're starting to get upset when they actually do leave the house. Even if they're staying in the yard, being left alone inside without their owner is becoming a problem now.
So we should talk about separation anxiety, and this also, I think I may have briefly mentioned to you with Nellie Bly, it's become an issue. Since it wasn't so
Mm-hmm.
much an issue before the house fire, but now anytime Billy or I leave, but especially if Billy and
Mm-hmm.
I and Rocky leave at the same time, she gets really upset sometimes, and we've been trying to work with her. Just like if Billy stays with her, I've been telling Billy, give her have her come in and do some of her exercises just to get her mind off the fact that I left. But what techniques do you recommend for uh, to help dogs get over that separation anxiety?
Well, the first one, it is definitely making sure they're mentally stimulated so they're just not bored and have this excess energy to put towards the anxiety. But the other thing is making it so the cues that you are leaving are just, they become just nothing to the dogs. So what ends up happening is a lot of owners that are staying home, they're not even going for out in the car. So they're not even picking up their keys to go anywhere. So all of a sudden the owners pick up their keys and the dog's like, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. They're about to leave me. And they haven't done that in months. So casually starting to put together things that normally would let your dog know that you're leaving. That might be getting your shoes on, getting your coat on, grabbing your bag or your wallet, getting your keys. But doing all those things separate and when you're not actually going to leave. So, say you're home for the rest of the day, randomly walk up, pick up your keys, put them down, don't even pay attention to your dog. Randomly put your shoes on, then go sit on the couch. You can do that with your coat too. But all those are little things that let your dog know in the past that you're leaving, but they're so used to you being here that you leaving is now going to become a problem. Um, Also making sure your dog can't just follow you everywhere you go. Like lots of dogs will follow their owners into the bathroom when they shower or into the kitchen. If the owner gets up from the couch and leaves the room, dog's following. So you can implement things like baby gates or simply just close the door so your dog can't always rely on that. So those are the two big things. Changing up how you are allowing your dog to follow you everywhere, and the second one is to make sure you make a list of everything your dog uh, associates with you leaving, like your keys, getting your coat on, and randomly start to do those things And then just don't make a big deal. Go back and do whatever you were doing before, and start to build it up too. Start to put those things together.
Would our owners who worked away from the house, for a long period of time, and now they're suddenly staying home all the time, are you saying that now the dog used to accept the owner being away, now the owner's at home all the time, and they're accepting that as the new normal and are having a hard time adjusting when the owner does have to go out?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are dogs that have had separation anxiety in the past and are now like, oh, look, mom and dad are home all the time. And it's now becoming a problem again. There are dogs that never used to have a problem with it because that was always the norm. Mom and dad leave. And there are also, there have been a lot of puppies that are coming into the homes and dogs being adopted into the homes. And the problem with them especially is that they don't know anything other than this. It's life is my owners are always home, or at least one owner is always home. And now suddenly when you go out and you go back to work, it's just shattering to them and it's extremely difficult. So if you have recently adopted a dog or gotten a puppy, still making sure you're having some absences from them in the house. And even if you don't have anywhere to go in your car and drive around the block and come back. Just make sure that when you come home, you don't make a big deal like, oh, look, mom's home. It's you walk in the door and you don't give them much attention until they're calmed down, because that will let them know, yeah, it's not good when mom or dad leaves. But when they come back, it's the best thing ever. We need them to understand that they can cope without us and that it's not a big party when we come home.
So I've always practiced when I come home, I don't totally ignore the dogs, but I just try to remain calm and give them a little pat on the head or whatever, and I go about taking care of whatever I need to, putting away my stuff, getting set up for my next task before I pay them any attention.
Yeah, exactly.
So
quick little pat on the head, hey, good boy, and then kind of go do my put my stuff down, and then all right, what's up? What's going on, bud?
Right.
So yeah.
The one of the things I think is irrelevant. The question is going to come out of kind of our own personal experience, but I think it's relevant. People's lifestyles coming out of coronavirus may change. There are companies discovering, hey, it's okay for employees to work from home. We may see more home offices, and so there may be more owners that need to kind of adjust to this. When we got Rocky, we had an office, and he was very used to my going away or coming up to the office once in a while, but I wasn't always home. Nellie Bly, we get as a puppy, and all she knows is mom and dad always working from home. And I've wondered before how we're going to deal with her getting used to being alone. I mean, we are taking steps, I think in that direction, but just kind of people maybe need to hear this may be their new normal, and how do they adjust to it with their pets. And so there are going to be people who get puppies during this too.
Yeah. So one of the things that you can do, if this is still the new norm, it can still make it so that when you guys want to go out, maybe you're going to go at a friend's house and your dog can't come with you and you're going to be gone for hours and your dog's not even used to you leaving the house for hours, it's going to make it a little bit harder. So teaching your dog that it's okay to be by themselves. And that doesn't mean just cry it out. It means helping them build the skills they need to handle those changes. So when I'm home, when I'm working on stuff, I often will have the door closed so my dog just can't come in. For puppies especially, I would be working on having like X pens set up so they can go into it, they can relax, they can move around, but you're not right on top of them. You're not in the same room as them. And so then you can start to work on, all right, I'll walk into the room and then I might pick up my keys, put them down and walk back out of the room. So making it so it becomes the normal. Owners do this weird stuff. I can just relax. It doesn't matter. The problem is if you make a big deal about these things. So even if you are staying home, making sure your dog just gets to be away from you, but not pushing them in to just cry it out, because that will make things worse. They will emotionally just shut themselves down, or it can full out go into big problems like destroying the house or hurting themselves, losing and breaking teeth trying to get out of the crate. So it's prepping them even at night. You can have them not sleep with you. I have my dogs sleep with me, but their separation anxiety is completely under control. So any way you think you can distance yourself is good. And X pens are an awesome way to do that with puppies.
We always crate Nellie Bly at night, and but
Mhm.
not so much during the day. I don't want her to feel like it's ever being used for punishment.
Right.
So, um, the what what is the root of separation anxiety for dogs? Why do they get so anxious?
A lot of it is they were never taught to be alone. So a lot of times, like with this pandemic, a lot of people will get a dog and say, "All right, I'm going to take 2 weeks off of work, and I'm going to spend all my time with the dog." And that's their norm. And so all of a sudden, once they leave, it's a problem. Some dogs just have never really been taught to be alone. They might have had another companion in the house. So they might have always been with the other dog that was there before them. And they've had that social companion when the owners leave. And once that dog, passes away, the other dog now has no idea how they're supposed to cope. So the big problem that comes in with separation anxiety is that the dogs were never prepped for it. And some dogs are more anxious than others in everyday life. And those are the dogs that are often more impacted by developing separation anxiety and distress and going into really starting to hurt themselves. So it might start off as something very, very simple and almost unnoticeable, like my dog paces a little bit or maybe cries a little bit when I leave, but ends up fine. And over time, it starts to spiral downhill where now they're scratching on the door. Now they are chewing holes through the wall. Now we're breaking through windows trying to get outside to the owners. And it is heartbreaking when that happens. So a lot of times there's some sign of it, but it's so not obvious. It's just, hey, well, my dog misses me a little bit, but it can get bad depending on the kind of dog and their foundations.
Okay. So, we want to talk about dealing with your dog also in the age of social distancing, going out in public, keeping 6 feet apart. Dogs don't like to be 6 feet apart from the people that they're meeting. And I'll tell you, one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I notice is, when we're out in public a lot more now because of the disruption to our lives. And when I have the dogs, people want to come up and, especially the puppy, can't
Mm-hmm.
wait to meet the puppy. And
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
so it's a challenge, but what challenges do owners face, and how do they deal with it?
So if their dogs want to be outside and go to see the people, one of the things that the owners can do is it's pretty much it's called like grandma's rule, where eat your veggies and then you can have your dessert. So it's pretty much sit and wait calmly, and then maybe you can go up and see the people. But if you keep yanking and pulling me, I'm not going to keep walking forward and decrease that distance so you can say hi. So the more impulse control you can work on with your dogs, so they're not just getting what they want when they want by just yanking you down or all over the place, the better. And it's also good to teach any dog that not every single person or dog you see, you get to go say hi to. So that is especially important when you start off with a pup, too. That's great. You can still socialize with the environment. You can see everything going on and get rewarded, but not every single person likes dogs. So we just don't go up to each one. So I know owners are struggling with that. And it really comes down to the owner saying, nope, I'm not going to give in. And the other people that are out there saying, all right, I know I'm not supposed to be that close because there have been cases where animals are getting the virus. So making sure everyone is safe. So it really comes down to the person holding the leash and the person that wants to say hi.
You bring up a point I find a struggle with is when people not wearing masks or just people wanting to meet our dogs and pet them, and knowing that there is evidence that the diseases pass through other mammals,
Right.
cats, dogs, tigers in the Bronx Zoo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think that um, we can train our dogs to be polite, not want to necessarily meet everybody?
So yeah, and one of the ways that you can make it so people aren't coming up and petting your dog all the time, even 'cause if you say, "Oh no, don't pet her," people do it a lot anyways. You can just say, she's contagious. So even though it has nothing to do with like the virus and having anything, this is what I was all taught when I was growing up to tell people, no, she's contagious. She doesn't want to say hi. That gets people backing off pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But not to instill extra fear, we can just teach our dogs to walk away from them anyway. So the big thing is, what kind of foundations and manners have you taught your dog? Have you taught your dog to walk on a loose leash? Have you taught your dog to see people and check in with you, or sit politely and wait to then be released to go see somebody? But it really comes down to, when you look at dogs overseas, the problem that we have here with every dog wanting to see every person and every other animal doesn't exist nearly as much over there, because they don't let their dogs go up to everybody. So it's pretty much like what I kind of saying before. Great, we're out walking, you see a person, awesome, here's a reward, look back to me. But it doesn't mean we get to go say hi. Even if you're pulling me that way, I don't care. We're not going to say hi. It's only when you're released to, only when you're calm. If your dog is overexcited and you're walking up there because you said they could go, back off, because that excess energy and excitement that they're pulling you now towards the other animal or person becomes the norm. So if you can do it, make it a norm of, if you're pulling on the leash, we do not get any closer, and we only get closer if I say we can, then it makes it a whole lot easier for our dogs. Like, all right, not every single person I see, maybe 1 out of 10. I could see 1 out of 10 people, maybe not. I can be completely content walking away and playing with my owner.
One thing that occurs to me is, I think there are people out there who don't spend enough time training their dogs, and certainly we're among them, but we do spend time training, and I would say I would notice with Rocky, even though I say I've not taught him everything that he maybe should learn by the age that he's at, just giving him fundamentals, sit. He didn't know how to sit when we got him. Give him fundamentals, sit and settle on his mat, lay down, look at me. Just basic fundamentals, the kind of stuff that you teach, has helped as he's gotten older to just be a more disciplined dog. Even though I wish there was other things I'd taught him along the way. He's over time picked up how to walk on a leash better, even though I've not spent as much time as I should have in that kind of training. But he's learned over time that there are expectations, just because I've given him some foundations. And so I just wanted maybe you can address kind of the what you offer in a course and how that can help an owner build that rapport and that relationship with the dog.
Yeah. And one of the things that I know we had talked about before is, all right, when you get your meal, I just want you to sit beforehand. So every interaction that you have with your dog is a learning experience. So it doesn't mean that you have to sit down and do an hour training session every day. It's not practical, and the dog doesn't even mentally want to work that long anyway. So sit before you go out the door, or look at me before you go out the door. Those little things help to build up to those beautiful behaviors that we're looking for. So in like the obedience classes that I teach, we're working on the dogs looking around the environment and choosing to check back in with the owners, walking on that nice loose leash, not jumping up on people, on the counters, not stealing items off the floor, not knocking kids off over when they are running around having fun, because they want to join in and play too. So every activity that I teach is broken down into small steps. And what ends up happening is you might practice for 2 minutes and you're done. Perfect. That's all you need. Being a dog trainer, I don't get as much working with my own dogs as I want to. There's so many more things I would like them to know, but they know what I need them to know for us able to coexist happily, for them to be safe and us not to get frustrated with counter surfing or something. So it's all those basic manners that we go into, and then some more advanced ones with, hey, look, there's a dog 6 feet away. Let's just walk past him. You need those little foundations before you build up to that final picture, which is, I take you through the beginning to end, really.
So I know you're doing you're doing all online training right now, right? Why don't you if you want to talk about what you're offering and what's available for owners and what you recommend?
So yeah, I have, I just finished up an online, it's actually a free Facebook group called, it's a 5-day challenge from lunging to learning. And I'm actually starting another one up for free in a couple weeks that goes off of that one. So pretty much what it is we go in on either Facebook Live or Skype, and I'm helping clients through various stages of how to make it so your dog's not lunging at another person or dog. Um, with that, there's still one-on-one lessons, but what is great about the one-on-one lessons for individual clients, not the group, is that they can be done anywhere in the world. I have clients over in Australia that I'm working with tomorrow morning. So it's their 8 p.m., my 6 a.m. I'm fine with that. But also, it makes it so with the online learning, it's awesome because you get a recording of what we do. And that's not something that we normally do in the in-person. When you're working on separation anxiety, it is much more beneficial to do online versus in person, because now that you throw this extra person, being myself, into the mix, they don't act as they normally would. But with that, I've also developed programs where you have home study as well. So you can, on your own time, if you're a night owl, you can go on at midnight and say, hey, I want to get some extra learning or extra understanding. That's going to help facilitate my dog's training. So that is grouped in with the online portion, so you can get as much of a benefit in general. And it's something that's been going on for years, but the dog training industry in itself has not fully caught up with that just yet. So it is something that's really, really pretty cool. People are apprehensive about it, but it works out beautifully, even when you're working on reactivity.
Great. So, Tori, great conversation. Anything else you wanted to touch on today?
If you also have dogs that are having issues with the reactivity, barking and lunging, that is certainly something that goes into play, which I'm more than happy to help with. And again, we can do that via online learning. Places that are outside of my service area, like Australia, or places outside my service area in New York or the States. We do it that way anyway. So it's something that works wonderfully. But the big thing is, let's take a look at how we can set your dogs up for success, especially with the separation anxiety and preventing it.
Great, Tori. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So it's Howard Owens with the Batavian signing off on another live stream interview. And don't have anything else scheduled yet this week, but we'll see what we can do. And you all take care and be safe out there and get your dogs plenty of exercise.